Okay, today we're back for another Friday Spotlight. Today we have Casey Wilson with us, and he is with the Wilson Agency. He is located in Odenville, Alabama. And at the end of this, we will give you all his contact information and let him make his spiel about all of his Facebooks and Instagrams and anything else he's got.
All that social world that we got.
Oh, yeah, you got to be on there. So, Casey, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
One of the first things I wanted to ask you was, because I really just can't remember, but I do remember when you came to Odenville. How long have you been here now?
So I've been in Odenville. It'll be 7 years in January. We opened up January of 2018. Wow. So it's been a minute. But
time flies, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. It's been a great experience too. Yeah. Big transition. I'm from Tupelo, Mississippi, and so transitioning here it's been a great thing for our family and getting plugged in the community.
And you plugged in very well.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
People that don't know, if you're in a community and you tell people that you got a little time and you're interested in helping out, they will help you right out, won't they?
Yeah.
Won't be long.
Yeah, I'll never forget Lyman Lovejoy with Jingle Bells at the local chamber as my introduction to the community. So
absolutely,
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Lyman's one of a kind.
He is.
He's the second mayor of Odenville. We actually have a mayor, but we kind of dubbed him the mayor too. So
yeah.
So 7 years. So let's talk about what kind of services you offer.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do a lot of things. We kind of specialize in a few things. So State Farm's been the number one auto insurance company for 70 plus years now, and then also the number one fire company. So when I say fire, homeowners, and renters policies, things like that. So we do auto, we do home, we do life insurance, we do a lot of boats, fishing boats, all kind of different pontoons and things. And then we do a lot of life insurance. We do little policies, big policies. We have roughly around, we're getting close to $100 million worth of life insurance out of our office. And so we really want to make sure just families are taken care of. And that's our whole approach to insurance is a needs-based conversation. Right. So what you need, we want you to have, but if you don't need it, we don't want you to have it.
Sure. So. Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I like Casey so much. We had the conversation a few years ago, I guess, about insuring our business. And we had been with another company, which I'd been with for 30 plus years, and I always had a good relationship with them. I still have a good relationship with the people there. But Casey come along and showed me where I could actually do a few things different, save a little money, have better coverage. And I was so appreciative of it, I actually swapped over to Casey. So
well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's our we just appreciate the opportunity. My goal in all of marketing is you don't have to have your insurance with me, but if you think about insurance, I want to be the guy you think of.
Oh yeah.
So, but just on that, we do a lot of business insurance. So we do different facets there. We partner with U.S. Bank. We actually do some CDs and money market accounts. Yeah. So,
good.
So we do some things like that. That's been a good partnership for us in certain situations. CDs are really up right now. So that's been a big transition.
I've talked to you about that. You know, you guys are doing
that. Man.
We should talk more often.
Yeah. You know what? That's schedule our annual review. That's what we're going through right now.
Now, it's one of the things on my, I don't know if you guys know or not, but I'm always looking over here at the camera, and what I'm looking at is I have a cheat sheet. I do a bullet point thing because I just can't remember. And like I was telling Casey before we started, sometimes these things are brain erasers. You just get caught up in the moment. But that was actually one of the things I was going to ask you about. So if you want to talk about it, see, it's a brain eraser, ain't it?
What was the question again, sir?
All right, so why is it important to evaluate your insurance every year?
Right. Yeah, and that's a great question. And I think one of the biggest answers to that is because how much transition have you been in the last 3 years?
Oh, yeah.
And if you take that, some people don't sit down with their agents at all.
Right.
So they haven't sat down in 10, 15 years.
That's right.
Well, I mean, you can have multiple kids, multiple jobs, multiple homes in that time period.
Yeah.
And so what we're really focusing on our agency is trying to get in that rhythm of let's meet every year because things just change.
They do.
And if things are changing in the world, things are changing on your insurance. And so
you guys think about that. How much in the last year has the value of your home, your cars, how much has all that changed in the last year? So You know, it's real important to make sure, that's why you have insurance, is to be covered. So it's real important that you don't come up short somewhere.
Right, and that's a great point. A lot of and this is nationwide, just a hurting for insurance premiums going up, and it's been a real battle for us this year, with auto insurance going up, home insurance going up, and then you're having a little bit of a double whammy because car values from COVID. You could buy a Chevrolet pickup, old Chevrolet, for $4,000 or $5,000. Well, that truck went to $9,000.
Good luck for that.
And so, you know, not only did the truck go up in value, but that bumper went up in value. So when we pay a claim on that, it's higher. If we total it out, it's higher. And then on the home side, we had the lumber went through the roof there for a while.
Sure did.
And so that cost to build a home went from, you know, $100. We was talking about this before we started. You used to be able to build a home for $100 a square foot, and now
And I thought that was high. Didn't you?
yes.
Yeah.
And now you talk to a local guy here, it's going to be $240. 280, and that's if you don't do anything too crazy. So evaluating that insurance and making sure that, hey, is this growing with me? And that's what you want your insurance to do, to grow with you through those transitions. And then also we want to evaluate it because kids move off, go to college, things like that. And hey, we may be able to change some things, lower your premiums because we don't have the same risk. And then just updating things that people don't think about is just, you know, hey, I paid off that car, but I forgot to call my office, and and then we have a little claim, and it's like, oh, well, the bank's got to sign off on that. Well, you may have paid them off 3 years ago, but
exactly.
So those are just some things that's really good to just kind of sit down with your local agent and just go through those questions. And we do a lot of virtual appointments now too.
And I'll tell you guys, I've yet to call down to his office and not get somebody on the phone that didn't help me out immediately. So I can't say that that's going to be the case every time, but for me, I just think small town and local agents to me, it's just the way to go. I'd rather do that than have somebody from one of the big ones. We won't name names, but you know, you call them up and you're just another number.
Yeah.
So
that's what we do like. And to be honest, you may not know this either, but we actually do policies in Mississippi and Tennessee too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We do that, but the great thing with technology, as we're sitting here today, is we do a lot of virtual appointments.
Yeah.
And so, but we have people that buy lake houses or want to have a place to go visit and things like that. Those are things.
You guys insure my place in South Alabama.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So we're all over that, and that's been a good thing. It's been a good experience for our customers. It's really been good.
It's been a good experience for me so far.
Hey, that's awesome.
All right, so we skipped around a little bit, but I'll go back. Talk about umbrella insurance. A lot of people have no idea when you talk to them about an umbrella. It's not something to keep the rain off of you.
Yeah. When we talk about an umbrella policy, it's keying in specifically on liability. And liability is just if a dog got out and bit somebody, is one that I've had happen. And if you're driving down the road and slam into someone and they get hurt, and now in 2-car accidents, we're seeing 70% of those will have an attorney involved, and so the Call Me Alabama is a big deal.
There's plenty of those out there.
Yeah. So with that being said, in most cases, most of those are settled under the liability limits. But what has happened is state minimum insurance is only $25,000, $50,000, $25,000. So bodily injury, total claim, and property damage. But when you have an umbrella policy, you can think of an umbrella in this as it's covering all of your assets. And so whether it be a boat, a home, auto insurance, things like that. And the great thing about that is typically they're $1 million as a minimum coverage on those, and I range them up to $10 million depending on the customer.
And they're not that expensive. I was shocked how cheap it is.
Yeah, so we've got some of ours. They'll range from $12 to $14 for $1 million of protections of liability. And then other times it'll be, if we've got multiple youthful drivers in the house, then it may be $40 a month, $50 a month. But the key is if you have more drivers, you have more risk.
Absolutely.
And you have more chances for those things to happen. But that umbrella, the terminology there is just saying that's going to be covering all of my assets if I'm in a liability situation.
Puts them all up under one umbrella.
Yeah, and then there's another version is your commercial side. So you have your personal liability and then commercial. And just so one thing I'd say is make sure that you have the right one. If you're a business owner,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you have the one that's needed there.
Yeah, for sure. I was just looking at my notes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have a bad habit of doing
Hey,
that.
that's fine. I was making sure that I was doing
We're
the
all
right
good.
thing.
I was telling Casey before we started, sometimes we have to stop these in the middle of it because we'll mess something up and we edit it out. So he was watching me for a cue, I guess. But let's see. I got lost too because we skipped around there. I was talking about umbrella. I put flood on here, and I just wanted to touch on that just a little bit, just
Right.
because
That's
of
a
the recent
big
things that have
question.
just happened.
Yes.
Um,
I've actually got a couple of customers that I've had conversation. So when you think of flood insurance, there's two ways to think about it. If a pipe burst in your home and floods your home, that is considered a flood claim, but it's also covered by your homeowner's insurance. But sadly, the thing that just happened in the hurricanes and with a heavy downfall, rising water is a different type of claim. And so rising water has to have a flood policy, and that is through FEMA. It's not a State Farm or any other company type deal there. So it comes through FEMA, and you have to have a separate policy. And I think, too, one thing that's good to note, maybe just in this conversation completely, is what's not covered on a lot of homeowners, unless you specify it. So like sinkholes are not something that's typically covered. Earthquake is not typically covered. And then flood is the other big one that's typically not covered.
I knew sinkhole was. I did not know earthquake.
Yeah.
But of course, we don't have a lot of earthquakes here, but we do have them.
Well, where I'm from, over in Mississippi, we're closer to that fault line. And so I did put it on a lot of policies over there. We got a lot of bedrock here, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
Little different scenario, but those are the main things. And then most of the time, if you want to think about home insurance, if you can snap your fingers, it's almost always covered.
Yeah.
But if you said, hey, it's an overtime deal, there's going to be some questions there. So that's how I try to just coach my clients, and just, we want to make sure everybody's educated on what you pay us a lot of money.
I'll tell you a recent thing that happened, and this, a lot of people may not be interested in this, but I can tell you, I was floored. I was on a trip coming out of Florida, pulling our travel trailer, right, with my Ford truck. Well, it has what's called the CP4 pump in it, and they're notorious for disintegrating, and it takes out the entire fuel system. It's $12,000 to fix it. Yeah, because it takes it all out. The Ford dealership where I had it towed to in Georgia called me the next day, and they said, hey, who you got insurance with? And I told them, and they said, you know this is going to be covered under your comprehensive. And I said, there is no way the insurance company's going to pay for that. Did you know you guys did? And you know why? Because it was fuel contamination. I got bad fuel at a truck stop.
Gotcha.
And the guy said, he said, they're going to want us to pull a sample and keep the injectors and the pump. He said, but go ahead and call them.
Right.
Well, I called, and sure enough, it wasn't your local office. I had to call the 1-800 number or whoever it is. Anyway, they said, yeah, absolutely. They said, tell them we're going to need this. And I said, that's what the guy told me you was going to want. And he said, we'll send an adjuster out. And by the time they got my truck fixed and I got home, I had to write them a check there for the truck before I left. Yep. But the money was in my account before I drove home from Georgia back to Alabama.
That's
$12,000.
Yeah.
So that's pretty incredible that you guys cover that.
That's a great point, and I think it's not on our list here, but just what to do in a claim situation is something that a lot of customers, if you've never had a claim, you're just like, I need my agent or I need somebody right now. And so fuel contamination, we run into a lot with diesel trucks.
Right.
And I think I paid 3 or 4 of them this year with that. And it's always, but we got to have, the thing you got to have is you got to have something showing what the loss is. Yeah. And so when you're thinking of your homeowners, if you've had a pipe burst or something like that, we've got to have a cause of loss for your insurance. So on any claim or anything like that, we've got to establish that. And then you can establish coverage at that point.
Yeah.
And another thing is, if you have something happen in your home and you think it's going to be covered, if you go fix it and we have no documentation, it puts me in a really hard situation. I want to help every customer, and we want to pay every claim, and we're going to pay every claim that we can. But in another, I guess, a misconception there, does it affect me if I pay claims? No. It doesn't. It doesn't affect my personal business. My goal is to pay claims and take care of customers.
Right.
So,
And I know that's a fact. That's that is true as I'm sitting here.
yeah. So that's
yeah.
a big deal.
But I didn't know if you knew that or not. I mean, you hadn't
Yeah.
actually talked about that.
No,
I
I
was
had.
floored when that
The
happened.
good thing is that I haven't talked to you about it, which means everything went right.
It went great. Yeah. In fact, I never had to call the local office. They
Yeah.
took care of all of it.
Yeah.
And it was flawless. They even called and did the follow up, and I told them, I
That's
said,
great.
man, you guys are great. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, so they were really good.
That's,
One of the other things I want to talk about that I do because I have a couple of RVs.
mm-hmm.
And when I first wanted to insure them, Bree told me, said, you might want to think about doing this agreed value thing
Mhm.
instead of it being a replacement cost. And I thought, okay, are we doing semantics here? But actually, it's not semantics. It's actually a different thing. So I told her what it was worth, and that's what you guys insured it for. So if it gets totaled, a tree falls through it, that's the amount I get paid.
Right. So the typical thing that we run into, and typically it's in specialized products. So if you take, you can have a F-250, and then you can have an F-250 that's had every modification under
Right.
the sun done to it. I've got a friend just put $11,000 turbo in his, and it's like,
Gosh,
that's a big difference.
that's a
So,
lot.
so the big thing on those things is you got to keep receipts so
Yep.
we know what we're covering in those
Yep.
cases. And then also you run into this with classic cars. We do a good bit of classic cars. So, you know, you can have a 68 fastback and it'd be this way or this way. And
Right.
one of them's worth 20,000 and one of them's worth 120,000
That's right.
because of that restoration, matching VINs and things like that.
Yeah.
So those are big differences there. And I think even the one that you may run into more, the replacement cost versus actual cash value. So not even an agreed value, but an actual cash value. And that runs into a lot of homeowners policies, and mobile home policies are big on that. And so a replacement cost is replacing what you have, where an actual cash value, if you've got a 20-year-old roof on a home, they're just going to pay you for a 20-year-old roof.
Right.
And so there's a big difference. And one thing I would just say for all of you that's listening is, if you haven't talked to your agent and you don't know if you've got a replacement cost policy or an actual cash value policy, that's a big thing that you want to know what you're paying for, because the premium may only be $100 difference a year to have the different type policy, but you're talking tens of thousands of dollars in coverage difference.
Right. Yeah, Bree told me what the difference in my cost was going to be, and it was minimal. So I thought, well, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
Problem is, just like me, most people don't know that.
Right.
So unless you've got a really good insurance agent, they're not going to tell you that. So I was fortunate that you guys told me about it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think we covered about everything that I had on my. Well, there's one more actually, and I don't even know how to address this, and I'm just going to let you take a good shot at it. And you know what I'm
Yeah.
going to say? It's zip code, and why am I paying for somebody else's claims versus me being a good steward of not tearing stuff up and fixing it myself and not claiming it. So
Yeah, I get this call every week. So if you're somebody calling in, you're probably going to hear something very similar to this. But location's a big part of how we determine kind of a base premium for liability, and even comprehensive, depending on like deer claims and things like that.
right.
But the big part of that is we say, hey, what are the loss ratios in a zip code? And really it's not even a zip code, it's more of a grid. Think of a grid, even maybe a little more specific than that. But as we talked about, if you're located and you're driving down 280 every day, your chances to have an accident, or if you're on I-20 every day, your chances to have an accident
Your
are a lot
chances
higher.
of losing your life is good on 280.
Yeah. So that's a big part of what plays into premiums. And then if you're closer to the coast,
Yeah.
or if you're in a rural town in North Alabama, it's going to be, those premiums are going to be a lot different. But it went back and where it all started was you had farming towns and then you had cities, and the cities always had more claims. Well,
Right.
that just progressed, and now we have a very in-depth premium allocation that is set up for, and you know how it is. They run
So you're trying to tell me I need to move somewhere really remote and rural? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Insurance premium. Well, now it bites you on the other end. So your car
Yeah.
insurance will go up a little bit, but your home insurance will be less because the fire rating's better.
I just can't win.
So if you move further out, your home premiums are going to be higher because the fire rating. And
that's true.
One thing about Ownville, though, in our fire crew, they've done a really good thing about making sure that we've got the trucks and the city and the mayor to have a really good fire rating in town.
Yeah.
And that helps everybody's premiums in town by having those trucks. And I know we've got the ladder truck, and we have, I think, one two-story building in the city, but having that ladder truck is checking a box for fire rating.
Sure does.
So it's a big deal, and it's really saving everyone thousands of dollars. So
no, we're fortunate for that for sure. All right, well, I think I've ran through my list there, and I don't want to keep you too long because I know you're busy and dragging you away today to come over here. We appreciate it.
It's not far, and it's always fun to get out and spend time with customers and do things. We're going to be at the car show this Saturday. So
if you guys haven't been to the car show, it gets bigger and better every year. Last year I was amazed how many people were there.
Yeah, the chamber's done a great job on that, and it's just a great local event. So.
Yeah, and if you don't belong to the local chamber and you own a business, you guys you don't even have to own a business. You just go get involved, man. It is awesome, and you'll get to hear stuff that you would never hear, and you get to hear it first, what's going to happen next, because contrary to popular belief, that city council really doesn't drive the train all the time. It's really the Chamber of Commerce that goes out and actively looks for things to bring them here to the city. So I know as a citizen, I certainly appreciate it. And so I'll just give you a little chance here now to talk about where you're located and all your social media and your email addresses. You can even give them your personal cell phone number if you'd like.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
The funny part, and people say insurance agents, those guys never work.
Right.
The thing is we never punch in and we never punch out. So there's always a risk to have a claim at any time, and contrary to belief, State Farm or the companies that you work for can call you directly after hours. So
well, you talk about that, and I'm probably getting off base here again, but I know you're an avid hunter.
Yeah.
And I know in the past I called you about something that was not insurance related. I just called you, and you answered the phone, and you were hunting, and I thought, man, you don't get an insurance agent that does that. So
we try to provide the best service we can, and when you got great customers, it makes it a lot easier to try to be there. But yeah, we're located right here on 411. We moved down the road a little piece from where we used to be, but it's 14360 US Highway 411 now.
You are right on 411.
Yeah.
Somebody's texting and driving, ain't paying attention. They'll be in your office.
We've already we haven't had them in the office, but we've had them happen right outside, but right beside Turner Ice, the snow cones and ice there, and so we've been there now. It'll be coming up on a year. And our phone number there is 205-629-0327. And then it's just CaseyWilson.com. So that's CAYCE because spelled
it
a little different.
Because I had my cheat notes up here and I spelled his name wrong. And he said, nope, that's not the way it's spelled. So, that is a little bit different.
Yeah, no, but we're right here in town. And we're there for the community. And we're just thankful for the community and what they do for us, and then our goal is to give back every time we can. And hopefully you're hearing a lot of Casey Wilson State Farm first downs. They did a great job beating Springville the other night.
Man, they put it on them, didn't they?
It was a game. It was a game.
We actually watched that. I don't know if you guys know, but you can get that on your phone live streamed. I think it's 94.1 that
Yep.
The River out of Pell City, I think, is the one that streams that.
They
do a really good job.
And it's great. It's been really good, and the team's doing great this year, so excited for that.
Yep. Well, all right. Well, I guess we're going to let you go where you can get back to work and go pay somebody's claim. Maybe the diesel truck blew up on them or something.
Hopefully not. I'm hoping not, but we'll do all we can. That's what we can do.
Well, Casey, thank you for coming in today, and you guys make sure you reach out to him and like and subscribe if you like this. If you got any value out of it, hit the little bell up there so you're notified next time we drop a video, and it's every Friday for the Spotlight Friday. And that's about it. We'll see you guys next Friday. Bye-bye.
Thank you.